all gather around so I don't end up with laryngitis? Can we get everybody up a little closer? We're all vaccinated. Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming. And if those of you who are here responsible for the weather, thank you. It's a nice day to be out taking a walk, and we're looking forward to this.
Please speak up. We can't hear a
This,
word. Come closer.
you'll have to come closer. We have no microphone.
Yeah, just circle us if you have to.
Yeah, okay. So my name is Anthony Roisman. I'm the chair of the Public Utility Commission. On my left is Riley Allen, one of my fellow commissioners, and Margaret Cheney, and staff people who are here, Dan Burke and Micah Howe. Oh, he's just washing up over there. And this purpose of this meeting is different than the public hearing, which a number of you attended. This is not recorded. What we are doing here today is seeing the context of this project. It is not for people to tell us what they think we should do or what they think is good or bad. There's an opportunity for that. You've done that at the public hearing, and we really appreciated that. You can always file public comments with us, and of course you can intervene in the proceeding itself and either give us your opinions that way or hire experts to testify for you. This is just for us to see a context, and technically it's not evidence. We're not taking pictures. We're not going to refer to what we see here today, but when people say to us, there's a ridge line that's visible from the site, we now see, oh, okay, there's the ridge line. Or if it says there's a power line that runs through the site, we can now see where that is. So please make sure that we see the things you want us to see, but to the fullest extent possible, no editorials. Just, here's where the panel is going. Here's where my house is. Here's the porch that I sit on when I look out, whatever. But keep it to that and make sure that we see everything you want us to see. I mean, we're here for as long as necessary. As you can see, we're somewhat dressed to walk around, and so we're willing to do that. Let's proceed with the site visit and have the parties discussed among themselves how you want this done. Is there one or two people who are going to sort of lead and start off? It may be that having the applicant start off by showing us where the site is will be helpful. But if there are people who think there are other things we need to see, and we know you submitted sort of competing ideas of what should be on this tour, we want to make sure that everybody has a chance to show us what you want us to see. So if it's all right, we'll start with asking the applicant to show us the site, the dimensions. It's been marked so that we can see what the limits are. Is that okay with everyone? Are you happy doing it that way?
Yeah.
Yes, Chair Roisman, Andy Rob Vogel for the petitioner. We have prepared today a site visit map and a description of stops that is essentially what had been submitted to the commission by ourselves and by some of the other parties. And so we've taken into account all of that, and with your permission, we can pass that out to both you and to everybody here. We have 70 copies. We think that's enough. It has stops on it with numbers to get us through the site and to get us to one other location that's off-site, which was requested by the other parties, a property owned by one of the putative interveners, Mr. McDougall.
Okay.
So we have all that, and we can, with your permission, just pass that
Sure.
out.
Yeah.
Before we do that, we also, or after we do that, we can orient you and everyone here with a quick 2-minute pointing at the site plan on that larger easel.
Okay. All right, fine. And the commission people, we're all going to stay together so we all hear the same thing. that anybody has to say or see the same view.
So,
All right,
let's
just
start passing
first
those
of all,
down.
does anybody mind doing what Andy has just suggested? It makes sense to us, but if you think, oh no, that's all wrong, please say so.
Andy,
Well,
are
we
those
would
stops?
also like to, again, have the ability to say to you, like, that's the view from my house.
Yeah, sure, of
Yeah.
course, yeah, that's
Okay.
fine. But adding
I
in,
understand.
right, okay, that's fine. Yes, yeah, we want to know those things, of course.
No problem.
How does it work if there was another site plan that was also submitted? If there's the differences, there was a couple other stops. So how does that get?
This, we think this takes into account, and what Cindy had.
If there's some site we're not seeing that you want us to see, speak up. And ideally, speak up while we're near it, rather than after we passed it.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Two more. Anybody else need? I'm gonna keep one actually. I have one left if someone needs one.
Okay, all right.
So this is Jeff Nelson with the consultant for the petitioner with VHB. He's gonna orient you to the overall site plan and then we'll begin.
Okay, so Jeff Nelson with DHB, and with me today is Stephanie Wyman, who is...
Mary, come up here.
With me today is Stephanie
come on, Mary.
Wyman, who is a civil engineer, also with DHB, who's responsible for the site civil design, stormwater, etc. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn the site plan upside down, because that way it will be oriented the way you are looking at the land and the surroundings. So at the bottom of the plan, in front of me, behind all of you, is Holy Smoke Road, and off of Holy Smoke Road is the existing driveway, and this red dot that we've made is basically where we are right now. So from this point on the tour, we'll go up, and so this is designated as stop number 1 on the list of stops that you all now have. Stop number 2 will be up in the vicinity of the proposed substation, and then from there we'll pass through an existing trail in the woods to see where the existing and proposed relocation of the North Bennington Water Department water line is. And from there we'll continue through an existing open field to the south to get what we've labeled as stop 4, southern site view, as we're heading to the south.
So
from
can I
here.
just stop for a minute? So this is not the solar field, it's all of this.
Yes, so just
Right?
to be clear, the orange lines on here are the drives, the proposed access drives to access different parts of the facility, and then the gray lines are the solar arrays that are planned within the project.
Oh,
So then
twice as big.
stop 5 will be a view of the northeast portion of the site. Stop 6 will be down in the vicinity of the pool residence near Holy Smoke Road, and then we can walk back around either in the field or on Holy Smoke Road to the project entrance area. So,
I have a question. So this is the furthest stop, route stop 4,
correct, yes.
and will we be able to see this from any vantage point?
There are fields that, there's an existing field road that goes through the hedgerows. We were not planning on going any further south. We certainly could walk further, but it's just a matter of timing and access to get there. But I think we can see how people are feeling when we get to stop 4.
And Jeff, sorry, after stop 7, there is stop 8,
Right,
which would
offsite.
require the commission to drive their cars up the road to get to 1206 Trumbullville Road.
Okay, can we go back to what we were just talking about before stop 8, stop 4? And the ability to see up in here?
I think when we get down to stop 4, my suggestion would be the commission at that point can see what it would take to walk through the field to get to the other fields. But I think until you see it, it's a little bit abstract, and we're happy to do whatever you want.
Right.
Okay.
Where
so-
are the 40 acres of trees that are being cut down?
We can show you the areas where tree clearing is proposed. Generally speaking, that will be on the eastern side of the site, and in addition to some of the hedgerows in between the arrays that are
I
there.
have the same question. So stop 4, can you point that out at stop 4? Is
Certainly.
that stop 4?
Can I make, sorry, just to be clear, there are trees throughout the site that are going to be cut. They're not in one spot.
Yeah.
We, as we're walking, we can point out areas that are going to be cut and areas that are already clear, but there's no way to point out the, quote, 40 acres. It's spread throughout the site.
I see.
Yes.
So I think we can head out. Before we go, I'll make a few safety notes. First of all, there is a portable restroom here that everyone is free to use. There's water available to anyone. As we walk around, we'll be going through rough and uneven ground, so you want to watch your footing, be mindful of that. There are also some plants that may be of concern to folks. There's poison parsnip, particularly down on the lower part of the site, and there's also some stinging nettle that I found this morning. So there are definitely some things to be mindful of. We'll try to point them out as we see them. You know, some of if you go off the trails and into the woods, some areas are very thick with thorny vegetation, so you just want to be cautious about that.
Actually, we would really prefer that the group stay together and not wander off into
Yeah.
the woods. And so I'll take the commission's lead, but we have, the purpose of giving you these stops in advance was so we could come to some common understanding of where this is going to go.
And I have one question. If we're standing at the red dot, show me the direction that's that on
So,
this map.
yep, it is that way. So basically from this dot, looking there, you can see the existing GMP 46 kV line, which drapes across here, and so that's within this corridor here. And then beyond that, which you can hear periodically, is the traffic on US 7, which is a limited access highway just beyond that tree line over there.
Okay, so this group of panels are not physically abutting this group
Correct.
of panels,
Yep.
correct?
Right.
And it's that field down there.
That's right, exactly.
Question?
Are you, can I say something?
You can ask a question.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Have you staked out the area for these people to have a real understanding of where you're clear cutting? Other developers have done that on projects, so did you do it for this and these people to see
Yes,
exactly?
the answer is yes. We've staked out the limits to the extent they're visible from the walking tour. We've staked out the berm for landscaping, the prospective heights of trees, the prospective height of the panels themselves, and the height of the substation. When we get there, we can show you that, should you want us to, we can do a balloon demonstration on the substation equipment.
Okay, I think we're ready
Can
to
I
go.
point out one thing before we, the closest to butters are here, that's my house. Bob Haynes and Jim Poole, all of whom are here. And there are a whole bunch of abutters along East Road across Route 7.
And quickly, just to show the commission if you're interested, this is the proposed, this was the other proposed kind of stop, so that they do line up, but there were a couple additional, just like stopping along the way.
And then the interveners.
This is the interveners proposed map for the site visit today. So there's a couple copies that are being grabbed if that's of interest for you guys to be looking at as well.
Well, we're walking, so when we get to the stops, just
Yeah.
say, please stop, and you'll stop and look.
Thanks.
As we walk up to 2, do we want to point out some of the flagging and
Sure.
markings we've done here?
Okay, one more question.
So-
Is there anything on this project that is part of this project that is not owned by the petitioner?
I'm not sure I
In other words, you
understand the
see
question.
projects sometimes where somebody else is going to own the substation as part of the project, but it's not in the petitioner's. It's not the petitioner's.
petitioner is going to own the 3-ring bus, which is the piece of equipment at the sorry.
GMP is going to own the switch yard, and we're going to own the substation.
So within,
I see, okay.
so within this area.
But everything
yes.
is in the petition, so everything that's been filed, everything that everyone has available to them, because we're responsible for designing to GMP specification the switch yard, which is what the control system is between
Got
the
it. Thank you.
46 kV and the project.
Thank you.
Sorry about
So I think as we start to walk up the road to stop number 2, I'd like Stephanie to point out a few of the flags and markings that have been put in the field here, so you can see what some of the features are that are planned as part of the project.
But in order for that to work, I would say, Stephanie, you have to wait so that the commission is in earshot anytime you want to point something out that's a project element. Yeah.
So I
Do
think
you want me to walk into the field and just identify them? I can yell. I'm good at loud voice.
Whatever will seem to work.
bring this one with us, actually. Okay, so this way.
If you need help, I will help.
I think this is going to be the first stop, just so I can orient everyone that we are at the entrance.
Oh! Little misdirection. Sorry about that.
Just wait 1 second. One of our commissioners.
Let's, should we walk past the park here, or you want to stay here? You good? All right, if everyone could sort of get within earshot of Stephanie, that would be great. And let's make sure we have all our commission.
Okay, go.
So right here, you'll see some stakes in this field. If they have like a gold or yellow flag on them, that indicates that there will be a berm constructed there with landscaping on it. And so in this location, you can see we have a structure that has been kind of flagged with different paint. So the bottom flag represents the elevation of the berm.
Bottom color.
Yeah, sorry, the bottom color, the orange. So that represents, again, that's the height of the berm at that location. The height of the berm for the project varies between 6 feet and 4 feet in elevation. This location is showing a 6-foot spot because that's where that piece is. Up above that, you'll see a yellow paint marking, and that is 10 feet from the top of the berm, and that indicates an evergreen tree planted on day 1. And then,
the berm,
I'm sorry?
trees planted
On top of the berm, yes. So this will be filled in with a berm, and then there will be trees planted on top of it. So the yellow is the evergreen, 10 feet tall. And then we've got the pink at the very top. That is a deciduous tree at 15 feet tall.
And what's the spacing between trees along the length of the berm?
It varies
It
a lot.
varies.
And it also varies as to where they are. Not every tree is on the apex of the berm. The berm is varied in shape and topography, so they're all over.
How tall is the solar panel?
Yep, so the next structure that we have is right here. So we have 2 different elevations of solar panel. The majority of the site is 14 feet tall, so that's what the paint marking at the top there represents. And then in the northernmost field, those are all 13 feet tall. So those are 1 foot shorter based on, we changed the orientation of the panel, the angle, to lower that.
So
The reason why these are oriented the way they are is because no one is going to observe the project from on the project site itself. That they are as if somebody were standing on the road. So you would see the berm first, and then you would see the panels.
And which way do the panels point? that way, or this way, or that way?
They're south-facing.
So it's
Or
that way,
Which way is south?
behind me. Yep.
Are they visible with the berm and whatever, the panels?
Are the trees planted at, you know, what is the size of the tree when you're planting
What
them?
we
That
have staked
is the
out.
actual initial
Yes.
height?
So the initial height of the evergreen tree going in is 10 feet, and then the deciduous trees, you know, those are a 2.5, 3-inch caliper tree that come in at about 15 feet tall.
Do you replace them if they die?
Yes, it's required under the PUC's rules. Mr. Chair, there's no easy way for us to answer the question, are they visible? Because it depends upon where you are.
You know, we'll see I assume there's simulations.
That's
Yes,
correct.
yes. So we would just defer to that material.
Okay, we should move up to stop 2 in
Just
the area
before
of
we do,
proposed sub.
are those trees staying?
Good question. Yes. The limit of work, which is the edge of any grading or disturbance, is the orange stakes that are at the edge of the field.
Where we see those little flags sort of.
That's correct.
Yep.
Yes.
And then there are some additional flags. As you walk this way, you'll be able to see them that have pink flagging, and that just means that there will be additional landscaping there with no berm.
And we'll point that out as we get up the road.
And where does the first row of panels start in the scale?
Right here.
Right
So
there.
this field will be all panels?
I'm sorry, how far does it
Yes.
extend?
In
Yes.
in that direction?
Yeah, east.
I don't have the exact measurement because we didn't flag the corners. That was not
But
requested.
it ends before you get to the power line.
Right, it's on this side of the power line.
Remaining.
Yes.
So-
So that orange flagging.
But there,
Yes.
at right angles.
So what Stephanie just pointed out is this corner of the array where that 2x4 is, and the furthermost corner is before you get to the right-of-way associated with the GMP line. So it's not as far as the power line down the hill there.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you will see stakes with flagging. Again, the orange represents the limit of work. The pink is plantings, but no berm.
Okay, so let's continue up the road.
Hi Jesse, remember me? Kathy. Yeah, that's not amazing. Those are the best pictures that I have on my phone. So this is basically. That are affected.
So this was all hay this year.
Yes. Yeah, they,
Someone said in our meeting that it wasn't being farmed. This is farming.
Oh, yeah, no, that's what our BCRC committee says.
Oh, okay.
Has been farmed in generations.
Really?
And they hay it every year.
Haying is farming, and it's
Yeah.
obviously fertilized, I can tell
Yeah.
by looking at it. And it's regularly hayed because it's not full of weeds.
Oh, yeah. They hay it like 3 or 4 times a year,
Yeah.
at least.
So they're displacing all this hay land.
Yes, absolutely. And hay is like gold here.
Yeah.
Annette said you were doing hay.
Yeah, I got hay down right now.
Features that have been flagged and be pointed out at this location. So I'm going to let Stephanie take that from here with just letting everybody know what you can see from this
We
point.
can't really hear you, we're all not here yet.
I'll try to project as much as I can, and if you can't hear me, please speak up.
We need to wait for people to catch
Yep.
up. We have some elder people here.
John, hold on. We have to run the site visit for the commission. If the commission says we're here and ready, we're going to listen to the commission.
Okay.
And if the commission tells us to wait, we're going to wait.
Well, you sounded earlier like you were interested in the public hearing
We
what you
are,
had to
but
say.
we have to get through this. We have to go in a certain, we have to move. And so
Okay,
I'm
so
deferring
some
to the
public may not
commission.
be able to hear
I'm
everything.
referring to the commission and
Okay.
they'll decide.
John, let's not
Okay.
argue about this.
Okay.
The commission has a function here. We need
Okay.
to do that before it gets dark.
Absolutely. Yeah, right.
Okay.
Folks, we're going to start.
All right, so what you can see, if you just glance back this way, you can see another one of those structures. That's going to be the delineating kind of the end of where the panels go for this section. Again, that's 14 feet tall. You can see some flags in the foreground. The pink ones are landscaping only, and then the orange is the limited work. We will not be going beyond that area. If you look over here, again, you can see the orange, it kind of wraps around. And then we stay to the right, facing here. We've got flags going right up here. They're striped pink and black. Those represent the center line of the temporary Route 7 access. So this would be used for heavy vehicles during construction. You can see further down there we do have 3 stakes kind of put in a row with some yellow flagging. That's approximately the width. It's 24 feet wide at that location. Again, that's the access from Route 7 that would be temporarily there during construction. When construction is finished, there will be plantings, trees that go right into that area to help with screening after construction.
So the road
Meaning
is-
that the road is temporary, it's no longer going to be used.
That's removed. Yeah.
And so for people to orient, if you look at item number 2 on your plans and you go due west, it shows you the road where it intersects with Route 7.
And again, we pointed this out at stop 1, the existing 46 kV GMP line. The project will interconnect actually just to our right on that line, and so there won't be any off-site electrical upgrades that'll be needed. And then as we turn around at stop 2, we will be able to show you the electrical infrastructure, the project substation, and the GMP substation that Stephanie will describe.
Could you show us where the water line comes in?
We're not there yet.
It's not right
It's
here.
further to the south.
It's further in the,
We
the
have
wooded
that flagged
area.
separately.
Yep.
And this whole area will be fenced off, is that correct?
The
Inside
entire
the array.
project
Yep.
Okay.
will be within a fence line. So any place that there are panels or project equipment that will be fenced.
So it would be, there is a perimeter fence that goes around this array. This area would be open. Then the substation will be fenced in, and all of the arrays will be fenced in.
And that
There's
substation.
there's a road that comes through here that is not going to be in.
And are these trees being taken down? Are these trees going down?
Yes, some of this vegetation will be coming down. This is because, again, we've got some water line work to do here, and we have the temporary access off of Route 7.
And the electrical interconnect.
Yep, and the electrical interconnect.
Will there be any wildlife crossings built into the fence? I don't know if you guys have ever worked with that before. I know some solar panels across the country, the whole fences have started.
So we can talk about the corridor that is going to go in for the water line and the access road that will not be fenced during the project, and when we get there, I'll point that out.
So why don't we...
Wait, I don't want to go yet. I still have some
sorry.
questions. This is stop 2.
Correct.
And we see there's a stop 3 that's kind of parallel. Are we going to see that separately, or can we see it from here?
You have to walk to stop 3 to see.
Okay, great.
But
Thank
there's
you.
more to show at stop 2, which is the substation, which is over here.
Okay.
You just have to move
Let's go.
a little bit.
Yeah,
like up to
20 feet.
And you will see some pink and black flagging along the tree line. That is designating kind of a parking area as you drive in towards the substation.
So the main entrance for the substation is going to be
Right
down
up here.
Coming from which road? Route 7?
No.
From
The Route 7 access is only to construct
Yeah.
the facility, and then once the facility is constructed, the access will come off of Holy Smoke Road.
Yeah, so where we kind of came in and where we've been walking, this is the access to the site during the life of the project.
So substation stuff, so that construction road will come up to here for the substation and all the other stuff?
That's correct.
For deliveries
Okay.
during construction.
And then that comes out, that road is removed once the project is commissioned?
Yes.
The road's removed or it's staying and being planted over?
It will not be an impervious road. It'll be coming out.
Okay.
Substation. Are you grading down?
We should.
He's going to
We're
get
gonna, yeah, I will talk about that as we make our way.
Before we move real quick, there's 3 bear paws right here in the mud that you can see. Yeah, right over here. Just if you're interested in seeing the... back over here.
They love my bird feeders.
Yeah.
Right across the street. Right there. Yep.
There's, there's a couple small ones. There have been some other big ones at times.
So this would be a good place to stop for the second part of stop 2. And there's several
Good
features.
folks, we're going to stop here.
So,
Okay, we're now at a different portion of stop 2, right where the substation is to be located.
Yep. So you're gonna see different colored flagging, and I'm just gonna walk you through that as you walk through this area. So to my left, I apologize. Okay, so to my left, you'll see red flagging. What that essentially delineates is the GMP portion of the substation. So their 3-ring bus and equipment will be on that side. Where we are standing right now, the elevation is approximately 1328, okay? The elevation of the substation pad is 1332. So the pad will be 4 feet high in this location. So to our left, there will be a fill. As you travel further to the right, it will fill in and then it will go into a cut situation. So there will be some trees that remain up by the barn where we were kind of parking people earlier. And then as you come back, again, we'll do a cut down. And then in this spot, it's a fill at 4 feet, and then it will continue to fill as we go to my left.
Can you give us the dimension of the 2 substations that are going to go in here,
So
length and width?
So I believe, and I'm off the cuff here because I don't have that recalled to memory, but I believe we are at 300 by 200 relatively speaking. I will point out that in the handout, you can see the substation is kind of in an L shape. So that's why I was pointing out earlier, you can see these black and pink flags, and those represent this parking pad, this pad here. And then again, to our left, we're kind of right in the split of where that tree line is, which is very nice for us. So again, to my left, we have the red flagging, which indicates the GMP substation portion. And then as we walk further down to the right, you'll see the project substation. And that, I believe, has been flagged, and I can't...
White, it's white.
In the white,
Yep.
okay, thank you.
So it's quite a ways out here. You can see one white flag.
Yep.
Which before that are the yellow flags. Which
Yep, and the yellow flags indicate the control house for the project.
So you said that the substation in this location is 200 by 300 feet?
Approximate
GMP
dimension, the total, for
Okay.
both.
Oh, okay, yep.
For both.
Yep.
And again, it's in an L shape, so it does kind of vary.
How high is the
Basically, that
substation?
much
Like
trees
how
would be
high?
We'll get to that in a moment. I've got a demonstration.
So basically, that much trees will be removed. It's at least 200 by 300,
Yeah.
even though it's an L shape.
And a lot of regrading.
So yeah, there will be regrading, exactly like I was saying. Right now, there's 4 feet of elevation change, so we will be 4 foot higher here. As you go further that way, it will turn into a cut situation. I see a hand.
You said you were speaking off the cuff. Can you give the answer for the folks that you couldn't answer? You said you were speaking off the cuff.
We'll see it in the evidence.
That's
It's
right.
all in the project
Yeah.
material.
Yep.
It's
As long
just,
as
Yep.
they'll
we were
have an
just trying to get a
understanding.
picture here, but it's all will be submitted to us.
How far that way will the GMP go roughly? I mean, 5 feet or 50 feet?
Oh no, it's quite a ways. So on the first dot that I kind of have on my plan here is representative of where a piece of their equipment will go, and that again, I'll fly the balloon to show you the height of what that would look like. And that's about 30 feet in, and then there will be continuous, that's kind of the end point, and then it continues to go to my left from there.
But it is about, we're standing at this corner right here, and this is the GMP portion, and it's about 200 feet in from that corner,
Okay, all right,
in
good.
that direction, the southern direction.
All right, great, thank you.
So I can go over and put the balloon up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the height, so the balloon height is going to be taken into account the 4 feet of extra height that Stephanie mentioned, plus 30 feet, which is the highest of the equipment at either substation, with the exception of a lightning rod, which is an additional 10 feet. But the 30 feet, 30 plus 4 represents the equipment at the substation.
Correct, yeah. So we did take that into account, so you guys will see it at the elevation it would be constructed. Keep in mind that it will be actually built, 30 feet to our left, but we couldn't get that far into the trees. But all of that elevation has been accommodated for in the balloon and in the string height.
There are,
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you just repeat what the height of the balloons represents?
Yep, so the bottom of the balloons is the 30 feet elevation of the tallest piece of equipment from the substation.
with the exception of the lightning rod.
Right. There
So
will
there
be
are-
an additional lightning rod.
Right, so there are elevation plans in the project petition that show all of the GMP and petitioner equipment at this location and the heights. So not every piece of equipment is that tall, some of it is, some of it isn't.
I have a question. To the north in the plan, it shows everything cleared to the north. Is that right? So everything north of this, there will be no trees up to the berm?
That is
that right?
not correct. So you can see right here, this clearing of white, these will remain.
Okay.
Yep, so we did that intentionally to try to keep some of that. Again, it's at a high point. There's kind of a hill in there by the garage. And so we'll cut to a point and keep a lot of those trees.
Right.
Okay, so we're now heading to point 3, which is going to pop out.
Have you seen what you need to? Andy, are we good?
Why don't you leave it and let people pass by?
More prime ag destroyed.
What, prime ag?
More prime ag destroyed.
You know what I say, man? PIB-T Wi-Fi.
What?
PIB.
What does that mean?
TWYFI. Put it back the way you found it.
Yeah, it's not how it's going to happen. No.
Well, that's our condition. We go through them.
Yeah, I'm waiting for all these shopping malls that are now abandoned to be turned back to ag.
Different scenario. Entirely different.
Like an old road.
Yeah. Different areas.
To get,
I know it's different. Well, I'm saying the reality. These will always be developed.
Well, there's an adage in the article. Land use changes around change.
That's right.
You know? Everything affects everything else.
Yeah. Mostly population and consumption. Well, that's what's driving all this. And money. It's all it's really. This is it, man. This is the last of it. We're up at the Canadian border. This is all we got left. Everything from Mass south is wrecked. So this is what we're going to do with the last remaining in this country. You go to France, they don't do this shit. You go to Spain, you go to Europe. Everything here is up for grabs. Holy shit. Oh yeah. Well, we get people from New Jersey coming up here and turning it into New Jersey. That's why they buy here.
All goes back to George Washington.
It absolutely does. Our first developer. That's why DC's where it is, in a mosquito swamp. It's a good old GW's investments. And so it began. Very good, Alex. That was really good.
No, I do like history. I was reading my father's dissertation about the early years trying to found Zion. Like they had almost like business, right?
Yeah.
But there was turmoil about the land.
Even out there, huh?
Oh, well, they're going from like Portland, Ohio, to Illinois, to Missouri. They're like trying to find a place that they can do this.
Oh, really?
The land
Oh, that's how they wound up way out in Utah.
and then getting chased out by mobs.
Really?
I mean, literally, like Joseph Smith got tarred and feathered. Okay, that was before he got assassinated. But they were hounded, and there was also the land thing.
So
it was
wait,
like
so
very
what did he
complicated.
study?
And was he a native Vermonter, or did he just move here and see Mother Mary or whatever he
Well,
claimed
he was like a lot of people where they there was a slow movement to the west, right? So you would be in Vermont and things would kind of like, well, I don't have an inheritance on this farm. What am I going to do?
I
So they
see.
moved to New York.
So he grew up here, though.
So he started in Vermont. I don't know what age they moved to New York, but they were in what the historian referred to as the burned over district of New York, which is a place that experienced a lot of religious revivals, one after the other.
Really?
Yeah. And
You mean like Woodstock, New York?
no, like I don't know where they were in New York. I don't remember now. Well,
That was a revival.
there was I'd like to go to the birthplace and see what the Mormon hierarchy has done with it. I haven't been there since I was a kid. Have you been there?
In Bethel?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right up the highway.
How far is it from, when were you there?
10 years ago?
Huh.
It's just a stone and a placard.
Yeah, nice obelisk.
Yeah. You think they'd put a monument more than a state monument?
Bill Colton? He's right there. Well, so we were walking right through here. He's been right? Since it came out along this. So there is a small strip of trees that will see remaining, and then past the road, because we have another road that we're building in here. That these are all remaining.
Right, I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're correct.
It might make sense to just walk the water line.
Where are we now?
Estimation of how wide that, just like even the shortest, how wide this is, roughly.
250, so at least, probably 250, 300 feet.
Is it accurate then to say that like, so 200 feet from here that way is cleared? Is that oriented correctly?
Approximately, yeah.
Okay.
We're kind of by this pink dot. This pink dot represents the panel height right there. So I've got a panel over there. So
we're roughly at
we're roughly,
0.3.
yeah, we're approximately there.
So let's.
Yep.
We will.
We'll
It's
continue this way.
Yeah, let's continue.
Anybody measure that balloon?
Could I, before we move, what is the plan for the soil?
Are we at 3?
No, not yet.
I'm just trying to figure out.
Yeah, no, we're not at 3. We are not at 3 yet.
Thank you.
So,
Yep.
that's something.
I think we need to move. We'll have to talk to you as we go. Yep.
That's all. The detail that you're asking about is in the site plans that get filed with the petition. So it'll show you what soil is being used.
That it has to do with the soil depth quality. So they actually have to have a shovel test and a certain number of yeah, biology. I don't know what sorry. No, I guess I don't know. She's always
God, it took me so long to mow this field that I mowed yesterday because there's ledge and I kept hitting teeth on my hay vine and changing them. And I look at this and I go, this is to die for if you farm, and this is what we do to it. And we put solar panels over it. Yeah. Beautiful. God.
Well, not just the fields, the entire row of trees can be cut down.
Oh, those trees are going to be cut down too?
Well, yeah, that's the separation between the hedgerows. So, so yeah, you look back there, it's the other field.
Jeez.
So just to note, this oak tree here that is probably, I'm guessing, over 100 years, but you can see it in through that way. There's a really large old oak tree that will then be cleared, just like those are 4 or 5 generation old trees that do exist in this hedgerow that'll be part of the clearing. Is that accurate to say?
What you said, you didn't go too far, so I'm okay so far.
He's just being descriptive.
Yes. Yes.
But is something that you're also suggesting is that there's old growth forest in there as opposed to
Well,
new growth forest?
I don't know that I wouldn't be able to say that. All it's saying is there are trees that are
very
of significant age,
which is rare for this area.
That's excuse me. That's substantive comment.
How is that? It's also contextual though, because the context
No,
of the ecology.
you file
is
that as evidence. We can't take your word for it here. We want to know that, but put it in evidence.
Someday.
So can we just say that the commission has been asked to observe a tree in the hedgerow that is tall, that's of a certain species, which the commission is going to have to reach its own conclusion whether it is in fact an oak, but it's an old tree.
We get it. We don't need a parrot.
and it is feasible to walk over there easily to see it if it's of interest.
And just as a side comment, the next microburst that comes through here could take that tree out in 3 seconds. So whether it's being taken out,
excuse me, that's also something.
No, I agree.
Okay, let's not get into an argument. Let us just see what we need to see.
And these panels are going to stop that microburst. That's what they're going to do. Thank God. Thank God they're putting these panels up. I don't want to flood next year. It's going to solve everything worldwide.
I mean, you try it. That's all you can do is try it. They'll try to shut you up. You just keep talking.
I'm going to turn this mic off here.
Oh, okay. Oh, it is.
Folks, we're stopping over here.
Is this 4 on your map?
Three.
We need to get these things.
I think it's three.
There might be a little.
Three and four.
Okay, yeah, right, yeah.
It's a little bit between 3 and 4, and it's representative of the water line and the access road, so I want to point that out.
So I think, may she proceed?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So do you want to describe what they're seeing out here?
Yep, so we have flags, we have 2 different colors. So if you stand kind of where I'm standing, there's a diagonal length of a diagonal line of stakes here, and that is representative of the existing water main today.
Which color?
The blue and white striped. And then as you look straight ahead, you see blue flagging only, and that is representative of the new proposed water line. And again, we're still working with North Bennington Water District on all of that.
And I believe there was a question earlier about wildlife passage, and then just to sort of describe that here while we're here, where the new water line is located, where Stephanie just mentioned, the solid blue flag, there'll be a corridor that will not be within the fence. There's going to be a series of panels to my left and a series of panels to my right, and the approximate opening between them is...
I believe it's about 65 feet from fence to fence, and we have, within that area, we've got, the water line is kind of the leftmost edge, kind of where I'm standing right here. There's going to be a slight, ditch for drainage, and then we have our access road coming through here at 16 feet wide.
Permanent access road?
This is permanent for the project, correct.
And 60 feet for the animal quarter?
It is a 60, it's 60. 60. Okay. 60 to 65 feet opening from where the fence line will not prevent crossing.
So this is shown on the site plan that everybody has. There's words that say parcel 4, and it runs east-west, and you can see the opening there where there are no panels. That's what Stephanie is describing.
So we're just at the lower end of the space between 3 and 4, right here.
You're right about here.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good.
My apologies. The line with the triangles on the map, is that the existing water line? That cuts that cuts a little bit to the.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just wanting to try to.
Yeah, those are points. Yep, that one's for the existing. So that does cut through at an angle. We're relocating it to go east-west along the access.
All right. So where we're standing here, how far this way did you say these panels go that are to our left, roughly? To the left of Field Road.
I know it does vary, but I don't have all of that. So, 250 plus is what I would say.
Okay.
Yep, and it's variable as we walk further towards the south. It's more narrow. It's wider in this location.
All right, and to the right side, that way. Did the panel go into where the wood line is, or
Yes.
stop before that?
That all goes.
That all goes.
And as you walk around this field, you can observe the width of that hedgerow, but that entire hedgerow would be removed.
Because there's a field on the other side of that hedgerow.
I see.
Yep.
Okay.
And one thing I think that'd be good for the commission to note here is that where the panels are going out in these fields, there will be no grading. The panels will be placed on the land in its existing topography. It's flat enough. There's not a need to do any grading. So the only grading that is planned is at the substation that you saw, for the roads to put the proper road base in, and for the stormwater features, some of which you'll see later on.
Okay, so when I look at this map, it shows a little, very narrow strip of panels to the right of what looks like a road. Is that cut intended to go up to the edge of where that road is, or is the road where that, what you call a hedgerow, is to be cut? I can't tell.
It's further over to the east.
So how deep is that hedgerow from here?
East is that way.
Yeah, west.
Yeah, sorry, west. I know, I always do that. Yeah, further to the west.
So, are we going in there 10 feet or 50 feet?
More than that. It looks like it's 500 feet from here to the furthest part of here, at least.
Yeah, I think the hedgerow, I mean, the scaling is hard to see on this, but it's, I'd say about 100 feet of a hedge, maybe.
Before
maybe
you
a
get
little
to this
less. And then
open
there's-
field that you said.
But you can, yeah, and it might be a little bit more narrow than that with the veg. You can see, it does, yeah, it is narrow, but it comes.
So, and you say we're gonna walk up this
We're
way,
going
and we'll
further
be
south.
able to see it.
Because we can walk up this way and then we can walk back down that side of the field. And then give you a slightly better look.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? From where we're standing, will essentially every tree that we're seeing be cut?
When you say every tree, I mean, it depends upon the depth of the forest, but if you mean...
Okay, we start that way. Do those trees go?
That hedgerow goes. Correct?
Yep.
Yes.
And then you said these go.
But
and
now
These, again, there's...
brought back.
It's brought back, but there's still forest that is not going to be cut on the other side, going in the easterly direction.
And also then that end too, there will be cut.
That's a hedgerow. That is going to be cut looking north. No, south. And then
To the
west. That hedgerow is going to.
The highway's this way.
Will we have in the plans that are filed an aerial view that we can see, now that we see what the woods look like, which woods are coming out?
That's correct.
Yeah, and that contextual plan.
Does show
Again,
it
it's-
because
No, I'm
they-
talking about a real view.
No, and there is in the natural resources evidence. There's better visuals of the actual existing
Woods
tree
and so
lines
on.
and woods. Yes.
I have a question. Is it safe to say with that row of trees, the visibility from town is going to be pretty visible?
I can't say.
But you see the heights. You can see
See the mountains.
What I would say is there's an aesthetics report that is lengthy, that has materials with it, that describes the visibility. I can't really.
You can see that. We can all see that.
Well, so we can talk once we're down there.
But I'm just saying, it's important to notice that we can see that.
I don't know what
You
you're
can
saying.
remove those
but
trees and
we
you
can
can
see
see
the
that.
trees. I agree with
Okay,
you.
thank you.
And I'd ask the commission to take note of the slope here. Like this is we're going to the south and this is north. That's a good place to start.
All right, so we're heading to number 4. Go through the hedgerow to get into that next field. Well, sorry, number 4. No, I didn't say. So where's number 4? Yes, we're going to go there. And if we did, is there a cut in that? There is, yeah. Is it on the left side there?
Yeah, it's straight ahead. These truck these tires. That's where the barn is going to go through. It's a little muddy.
But there's no additional flagging or anything else beyond this area.
Important one. As long as you're sticking your
Hale Mountain Fishing Game Club over there. I know.
Isn't it true that goes back to the condition of the soil, other than the stormwater post-construction testing? Isn't there some kind of yard for big density testing that we do? That's what I was thinking. That happens
Very large dogs.
after construction is over.
do it both before.
Yes.
Pick specific locations, they do the testing, and
Yeah, and if no, they're good.
And it's the density.
I'm more familiar just
Yeah.
and myself.
I don't think everybody's ever had I understand.
We've had to do it on having to show it.
Yes. Yes, but I mean, I don't know that they
I think the best would be back up where we were, site 3, and when our post was. You can walk a little bit, but it's very clear. You can see additional planning for the line out in that field.
Sort of shown that this is
And there's really there's not much.
Sure.
But there are 3 fields beyond
Okay, what's next?
So the purpose of this stop is just to give you a sense of the field, and that this is going to be occupied by solar panels. There are more fields.
3 more fields.
3 more fields. Yep. That have not been flagged. This is as far down as the site plans that we and the interveners submitted, so there wasn't a sense that we needed to go that far.
So where are we at 4 or
We're
are
at
we
4.
beyond?
We are
No,
at
we're at
4.
4. So roughly a third of the panels are to be built beyond this point.
Well, given as you can see, the width of the panels is wider in the other direction, and it necks down here. Yeah. I mean, we can. Do you see there's an opening here?
Upper side.
Do you want to go to the other side of the opening? We can do that.
Yeah, maybe we can do that. And someone wanted us to look at
So is this the highest point in the? So it seems like we're at the highest point. The water would be draining downhill from here. So I just wanted to point out how much. So I think that's going down now. But
I don't want to speak to that without having the topography right in front of me on the plan, but you are correct that from this point, most things do, yes, it's draining that
all
way.
these fields going south.
I'm
to the south.
concerned about this third, that upper northern third, because I live next to Jesse.
You mean southern third?
This part right here. Yeah,
South.
south. I live right next to Jesse, and I'm sure. I just wondered. I'm thinking, you know.
Where was your house on here?
Right next.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the height right here, it's hard to tell with the
So I can follow you.
14 feet here. And this is not
yes,
graded.
that's
This is as is.
So
and then
I
14.
guess just in general, I would say that all the issues with respect to site grading, which is not presented here, grading, stormwater flows,
More than just houses. That's why you have it.
So if I understand you correctly, for all these next 3 fields border the highway. They'll be along the highway, Route 7 that runs right through here.
that's a property line, and Route 7 is here.
So will this be visible from
This
Route
is
7?
all vegetated. All those little squiggly lines are existing vegetation.
And they're going to cover the solar fields from being seen on the highway.
You can look at the aesthetics.
Yes, we think that I would say look at the plans, but that's what we think the plans show.
Yes, what the plan should show, if they've done a proper site evaluation, is there will be a simulation. Pictures will have been taken from a variety of viewpoints, including, of course, where people live.
Yes.
And then you'll see what it looks like, and then they'll have superimposed on there what it is supposed to look like when they're done.
Yep.
And so that'll give you a chance to see it. What we're seeing here is what's in place right now. And the plans tell us what of what's in place now is going to go away, and the simulations show us what the views will be like when those things are gone, and whatever they're going to do to try to mitigate that.
Yep.
They've talked about that, the
Okay.
berms and the
And
plantings.
we'll see that before anything happens and all of that.
We'll see that in the course of our hearing, the evidentiary hearing, which is scheduled for 2024 on the current schedule.
Yes. So, just so it's all clear, on the site plan, the dark perimeter line is the property line. And so anything that's on the other side of the property line is not being touched by the petitioner, including all of the vegetation shown in this section that we're talking about, that is to the east of the property line, between the property line and US Route 7.
But heading north. Go ahead, go ahead.
You had said, and I just want to make sure I had it clear, is it 3 more fields that are going to have solar going that way?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
that
And the
we can
fields are
walk
all of
over
different
and
that
look
would
at
be
some
good
of
for
them.
We have another question.
I just wanted to give a visual to the commission of one of the comments I made, if that's all right. These grasslands here, including the ones that are on the other side of this hedgerow, I know there was a bird survey done, and they said they didn't find any grassland species, of which are endangered here in the Northeast. I find it a little hard to believe that they didn't find any. I don't know the time of the year, but I just think this is a good visual, as well as the other field we saw from back there, of just how large these grassland areas are. Certainly large enough, in my opinion, to house grassland species which are currently endangered, as I see them in farms around here on similar sized lots.
And for us to take, I want to be really clear about this. That's a very important point. For us to use that as evidence in making a decision, somebody needs to testify under oath, subject to cross-examination, why these fields are good grasslands for birds, why there are or are not birds here. You don't have to take the applicant's word for it or their expert's word for it, but you can't just say, if you went on the witness stand and said what you just said right now, that would not be useful evidence. It would be evidence because you'd be under oath, but it wouldn't be useful evidence. So we want to hear all of this. We want to make sure that we get all the facts that we need to make an intelligent decision.
The other thing that's useful with comments is it gets us thinking to look for certain things in the evidence that there is.
Right, that's right. I mean, the comments are useful, but that's the public hearing rather than here today. But telling us, make sure you look at the fields and see the width and breadth of them, that's important, and we are looking at, and we do want to at least look beyond there.
Would you like a more detailed explanation?
Not right now.
Not right now, we will want one.
Please submit it.
Yeah, first of all, you submit it as a public comment, which means that it's on the record for people to see, and then if you want to make a testimony, you submit it as proposed testimony, whoever, you or someone else submits it, and then it becomes evidence in the proceeding, assuming that it's accepted as evidence, and there's lawyers like to argue about that.
Got it.
We're rather generous, I would say.
But just,
You'd agree with that,
I would
wouldn't
agree.
you, Andy?
Yes.
All right.
Just so I have a sense of proportion, though. I mean, is that roughly the 500 feet that would take the panels to, and not much further? Is that roughly right? I'm just.
That's about 3/4 away from this field. So we're here at this fort.
Okay.
There's panels, there's some tree clearing, another road, and another row of panels.
So the tree clearing that you're saying here is that those trees, and that's just here on the road, and then the panels keep going.
Yep, and there's additional clearing to the edge of the limits of the project on this side.
So there are trees that start about roughly there and go all the way up to there.
So right about here. Yep, so there's a hatch. There's a hatch right here, so where my fingers are pointing, that's approximately the width of the trees that will be removed at this point to put panels in.
And all the way over to where
That's
you're.
where my thumb is. Yeah.
Okay.
And then the remainder of that section of the western portion that forested area will be moved.
Yeah, so right, don't be, we didn't show all the forested areas in the
No,
one
I
section.
understand. But that's why I wanted to see the aerial
Yeah.
view, because that would be very helpful.
Okay, do you want to take a peek in the next
So we're now going to go to the other side of this hedgerow.
Yep. It's a little wet getting through here, but you can kind of pick your way.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea.
Oh my God. You're gonna hit all these fields? They're gonna populate all these fields with solar panels? The field back behind there?
Oh my God, right?
This is like merciless. It's unbelievable.
You're saying that this field and that field would be connected by the removal of this line.
So I think we'll just walk back.
Yeah, we will. Hey, this is going out. Okay.
Another field back here too?
Yeah, this is only the second.
Environmental protection. This is how we do it in Vermont now.
And once again, on this map, the line of trees that we see there now to our right, is that past the panels, or is this before you get all the panels in?
So there will be another portion of clearing, so right beyond that. So that's about where it looks on here where the access road is.
I
And
see.
then we've got some more
A
additional
group of
clearing.
panels
Yep,
there.
yep, exactly.
And these trees are going?
Yes.
I think the green, this one's in color, sort of light green.
People who never farmed in their lives.
So we're going like this, right? That's these trees. So we're here, and this is our trees that are
Okay.
Here, I have this.
Yeah, you can take this one.
The song Paradise, sort of a parking lot.
She has that.
This is my Oh, okay. I was saying this is the colored copy if you wanted it.
Maybe my vision.
Yeah, sorry. It's hard to see
This process.
Yeah, exactly. It helps a lot.
What do you want to do?
Even if it's fake.
The black.
Folks, there are, as you see, this field is smaller than the field we just came from. The next two, they get progressively smaller, but again divided by these hedgerows. So there are two more sections as we go further.
So the plan is eventually, if approved, that everything from the far end there, all the way down to what we saw just when we entered this area, those trees will be cleared, and some clearing to the left and the right, shown on your plans. Right. And so there won't be any barriers between
All of
these
these
panels.
east-west, correct, all of the east-west dividers, these buffers, are all being removed.
Good, okay.
So the plan, so it's, again, up to the commission if you want to go and see the next one or two, or we would then, the plan was to then head back and go up towards the Pools property, which is stop number 5.
We'll have some view of those when we get up to the McDougal property, right? Because pretty soon we'll be able to see back from their property towards these upper reaches, correct?
I couldn't say whether those particular fields are observable, but it's the McDougal property, not his residence, but the property he's asked you to see, are about a mile from here, and it's uphill, so you'll see as much as you can see.
So I don't.
Yep.
I don't think so, Mary.
I don't know,
It just has, it looks like it's just two more fields like this, except smaller. If you look at
Does
it's
it
getting
continue to
narrower.
rise? I'm just curious. Or do you know? It's true. But it's
Well,
still
you can
rising.
see this one's higher.
Yeah.
From here, you
wanna
can
walk
see
up?
the
Okay,
next
let's
one
walk
higher.
up.
And then he worked as counsel at AIDS and Natural Resources, Protect the Environment.
On the way back,
And I used to work
that they're planning to do.
in that same agency. He used to come after me because he would keep. He used to try to personnel actions against me for letting the public know what they were doing that was against the law. So he tried to figure out ways to come after me. That's what he did as an A&R counsel, not instead of coming up to me and said, thank you for upholding the law and doing your job. Now he saw his job as trying to figure out how to muzzle me.
Right, and how to make money.
Well, he was of counsel to the governor. He worked for Howard Dean.
All I know is my home is this. Everything I love about it is under the fence.
I tell you, I was in France last August. They would never do this in France
I'm just
or
going to look
Spain.
out on my deck and I'm just going to see a black hole.
You're going to see solar panels. But it's the loss of the Avalon. It's the loss of. But this, watch out for the frog. Don't step on the frogs.
It's the beauty of Vermont. This is not where my soul lives.
They're gonna cut these trees down here.
Yeah.
These are all gone.
Yeah.
They call it a hedgerow. This is a hedgerow.
Just like to be smaller. Smaller.
Just a little hedgerow. Yeah. Yeah, there's some rhododendrons in there and some. That's a hedgerow. Their job is to minimize through their rhetoric the impacts.
Yeah, that's
So
why
they call a forest a hedgerow. They don't call it clearing or clear cutting. They call it removal of a hedgerow.
This is a smaller field.
This is a small field. That was the hedgerow.
Yeah.
That wasn't a forest. That was a hedgerow.
Well, this isn't.
They're going to prune the hedgerow.
Yeah. So Route 7 is right down there. So if we keep walking, we'd probably see it. And that's the gun club.
Oh, sure.
But it's going to be solid.
Yeah.
Solid. It's like a shopping mall.
All right, so we're Stephanie is getting oriented about where we are on the site plan.
So this is second to last, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Let's see if everyone's good.
So it starts going back down the other way.
Did you agree with that? Okay.
Everyone wear their orange hats.
That felt like that's kind of that thicker hedge right here.
You can see
And then you can see a clearing.
You can see the dash line in this one, where we're coming through the hedgerow and then we're
No, I can't.
So yeah, that's where we are.
But we do have. We do have a color.
So I have a
version.
question. Is this what you're calling a hedgerow? What we just walked through?
It is. I don't have to characterize it. We just went through a line of trees. It doesn't. The word doesn't matter. So yes, we just crossed a line of trees.
So that's not a forest. That's a hedgerow.
It is. It is a line of trees that is in between two fields.
Yeah.
That's what I would say to this.
So can you orient us
That's
here?
what the Green Mountain National
Yep,
Forest
so
is.
we are
Down the
approximately right at this point of the access. You know, you can kind of see where your tree line is. We've got it off to your left here and then over here on the right. So.
And then
Right, now
that
this
line of
field
trees
looks
here would also get
much more open to our left. Is that just an optical illusion, or is there actually less trees? That
Well,
are
we're getting closer to US 7.
Yeah.
Because we're coming, because it's right beyond the
Right. And presumably all of these edges too.
a little bit around. Property gets narrower at this end.
So we may have.
We're kind of standing.
I feel like we're right about here.
This is the field.
So there's.
Isn't this that line of trees?
That's this.
Oh, okay.
So yes. So
This.
So this is.
We're this high up?
No. That's when you look at that line of trees. That's that.
And on my map is this.
Right. Yes. And we are here. Correct. And so there are trees to our to the east, which are here. And then there's the property line. So the trees to the east from here are those trees there.
See that last field to beyond that next road.
And those trees.
There's not.
There's not much over there.
line of trees that separates
And there's-
one side of Vermont.
Margaret,
Yeah.
looking in that direction, if you're
Just a line of
here,
trees.
as you can see, there's the green here is trees that are being cut, but here the trees are not being cut. There's some kind of feature here that, I don't know what natural feature that is that's being avoided.
And then the last field is where those panels are.
Correct.
Very small field just past that line.
I have a question. Is it safe to say
All
that
the way
this is
back to
about
where we
the
came through the
height
trees
in terms of elevations? It seemed like we've been going up
north.
this whole way, and it seems to, I don't know, somewhere in here, like in terms of elevation.
Yes.
Okay, from that direction.
Yes, I mean,
Okay.
let's put it this way, the stormwater features, all the, from the access road that comes down here will flow in that direction.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, so now is the plan to walk back to get to,
To get up here,
yeah.
Back
Well-
to site 3 and then continue
Oh, no.
past that.
those numbers are, that's from a different
Okay.
plan.
Oh,
Yes,
right.
essentially the same thing. To number, we're gonna walk back, again, we can walk on the,
Is it possible to see the last field so they have the full understanding of all fields involved? I mean, it just gives you the full scope. I mean, we're already 89, 90% of the way there.
Is there yet another field back here?
Yes. Huh?
Like water-rated
Is there beyond that? It gets real narrow up here, so I think that somewhere in there's got to be a line, right? I just don't know where. It definitely narrows out, so I bet you these fields are the majority of the school. I don't know.
Forest that you're cutting there is on a hedgerow. It's a line of trees. It's a line of trees. We don't need to get into what it is. He doesn't want to call the forest. Everything's a hedgerow. That sounds like one single line of trees.
Yeah.
That's what a hedgerow is.
Yeah.
Hedgerow. Intellectually dishonest to beat the band, I'll tell you.
I think I might have been that.
Sound of Music view right here. So these trees are going to be cut too. Hedgerow, that is.
We've got Bennington, North Bennington, Shaftsbury, Landgrove, and I'm missing one. I can't recall the other one. Yes, thank you. Yep. I was trying to go alphabetically. Yep, Arlington, Bennington, North Bennington, Shaftsbury, Landgrove. Oh, yeah. You can. Yeah, more time.
well, too bad. No. Whatever we've said in the application about how we're installing. We are required.
I love the man that you're like right here with the view stuff.
Yeah.
Node and chickens, so it's not.
Yeah, this is a small field, another small field. Let's see what small is.
That one was a tiny
You like die to own a field like that. My fields are all ledgy. I could get a mower on them, and then they take this stuff. Oh, another small field. It's a tiny field. It's another small field. Small. It's a small field. Knew it. Unbelievable. They call this a small field. We don't need to see it.
What we know is that they have.
Look at this. Look at this. It's as big as the last one.
The clear cutting again.
Another small field.
Yeah. Yeah, just a little bit. Between that and the one over there.
25 acres.
This field.
25.
Everything in front of this guy.
It's going to be solid industrialization of this agscape.
Goes all the way back here. What? Where is it?
I don't know.
Water stop? Oh, there it is.
Do you know? It doesn't go all the way.
Yeah, it doesn't go all the way.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
We're gonna get oriented.
Right, so in this instance, that hedgerow, the last hedgerow, is not being cut, and that's shown on the site plan that you're looking at. In order to maintain the required setback from the property line to the panels.
On this side, it starts right here, so this would be right about further over. That's where the property
So as you get further west.
Or any of the trees that we see to the ahead of us and to our right planning to be cut.
Yeah.
This field.
Think a little bit.
There is some
on the
cutting
west
on the,
side.
on the
And
west
again, I
side.
would describe that as on the west side, is that correct?
Yes. Yep. And then so the brown, you know, those trees are being cut but not trucked, so we will not.
And this line of trees is not being touched.
Wait, which line?
Oh, well,
This one to our left.
Southern.
Sorry, so to the east towards Route 7.
This row right there.
Starting about here, it will. We're waiting here.
It's not
Is it safe
flagged.
to say that this hedgerow is going down?
Yes.
And continues all the
No,
way
wait,
down?
let's first talk about this one. Is this, we're waiting for the answer about this
It's
one.
not flagged. Looks like it's getting cut.
No,
I
don't
not.
believe this.
No,
didn't
because
flag
the
it.
property line is
So
very
this
close.
is just the hedgerow.
I don't
Yeah,
believe
So
so.
otherwise from here down. So once we get past this hedgerow, from here down, this is not being cut.
Okay.
And then someone asked about this line of trees.
Yes, so this is the so the line of trees separating this field with the last field is being cut.
All the way down.
I would just like to point out for
All the way down.
neighborhood orientation, the southern border right here is Lisa McDougall. She runs Mighty Food Farm, an organic vegetable farm that feeds about 200 families a year, and the water from this runs down into her fields.
So
Did you have a question, statement?
It's not a statement, it's a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
I have a question about something I don't see reflected on this, which is any facility for dealing with the solar panels and arrays after their end of life, which is inevitable. So, but I don't
Everything
see like a
that's-
recycling or
It's
facility
addressed. This is
infrastructure.
not into, this piece of paper is just for the site visit.
Right, but
That's all-
this is related to the site
Yeah.
visit, and this is our reference. This
If
is our
I
only
may,
reference.
They're
It's
decommissioning
the
plans.
petition is this thick. and
But
it
I'm
has-
not signing a petition. I'm asking a
I'm not
question.
asking you to sign it. Sorry, the application
Mm-hmm.
just has materials about the decommissioning of the project.
Okay, but I'm
It's-
asking you firsthand. I'm not interested in reading the 200.
Okay, if you're asking whether the solar panels.
I'm asking about something that I don't see, and I'm wondering if you could tell me, does it exist, or what happens to the solar panels after they?
Solar projects of this size are all required to have a decommissioning.
Okay, that's kind of what I'm wondering. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you could explain further into that, because I don't see any infrastructure reflected here, and we're allowed to say what we do see,
It would
but I'm
be
just
on-
saying something
Sorry,
I don't
that-
see, and that's what I'm wondering.
Okay, can
Wondering
I
about.
just explain?
Yes,
All
please.
the infrastructure.
This is a site visit. You're
I
asking-
understand what this
No,
is.
no,
This
no.
is not.
Right. What I'm trying to explain to you is that there is on file, and we have rules that control what you have to do when you're no longer using your site for solar. And it includes recycling, it includes restoring the land, it includes making sure that you don't leave any hazardous materials, all of that, and that's laid out. So
Wonderful.
you-
Does it
But
include
my
a
question-
financial responsibility instrument?
My,
Yes.
my question was though. My question was, does such a facility exist here? Because I don't see it reflected here. I mean, that's really a yes or no question.
There's no.
You know what I mean? And
There's no facility.
so I was just trying to get my
decommission.
bearings
That's,
on
that's
this.
25 years from now, if there were a project here, before they would be decommissioned. So you wouldn't see any facility here.
Well, that doesn't.
in preparation for that.
Okay, but that's also contingent on the technology itself. It's not necessarily 25 years. Some solar panels only last for 6.
Whatever
So
it
it
is,
depends
when
on
they come
what you
down.
guys are using.
When the, if I may, when the project is no longer operational, whatever year that is,
Right.
we are required to remove the entirety of the project
Right.
off-site. So
From the
that is the decommissioning plan in its essence.
That makes sense, but it wasn't only, my question's not only regarding the project itself, it could be individual panels or whatnot, unless I misunderstand the
There
entire
are 2
operation.
companies in the country right now who do decommissioning.
Mm.
There's a caveat to that. At the moment, one of them is in New Jersey. They do not have the volume in the Northeast at the moment because we have this lifespan to go out and get them transported back to the facility.
Right.
If the projects are big enough where they can economically go and transport them back, that's what they're doing right now.
So we are digressing.
Yes.
And I think we should go to the next
Agreed.
stop.
This is going to take us a while to get
Head
there.
north.
All right. Yes, Jeff, you lead the way.
Sure.
Do you want to
Can I ask how many acres is this field here?
We don't have the acreage on the individual fields with us.
It's in the
It's not off the plans. So Jeff, are we going to take the same way?
I think we should do it the same way because it's easy.
All right,
I hear you. That one's probably 25. This is stuff in between. This is what, 80 acres? This whole project?
Well, yes, the lot is 160. I know,
Yeah.
I know it's not. What's that? Maybe.
You work for this developer? No. Yeah?
Yeah. No. Know that there's recycling for towns.
Are you in the solar business?
Yep.
What's your company?
It's not mine, it's my son's.
Who's your son?
I'm assuming you're recording, so I'm not going to answer that in a moment. You want to talk about it afterwards?
Okay.
Yeah.
Just personal recording or is
I'm
this
gonna
TV
turn
or?
the audio on.
I understand the phenomenon, but I think it's worth keeping up to date on every piece of legislation.
I know, I usually do that if I'm.
Footprint of land for millennia. It would never, this would be illegal.
Yes,
Not this place, agricultural.
I mean, it seems the easiest way in, yeah, if you don't mind.
They understand that.
Riley?
It was World War II. One of the things that Hitler parlayed, he was able to take advantage of. The banks, you know, the farmers, because of the depression, couldn't pay their note on their seed and fertilizer bills. So the banks put those on farms.
They could not pay their note on their bank, on their seed and fertilizer bills.
Right.
Okay.
So then the banks said, you gotta pay your bill or we're gonna foreclose on your farm. So
But you can't use the U.S. Or you
no,
can't
this is back in before World War II.
I don't know that we can say exactly where the land
And then Hitler,
How many feet would you have
monster,
from that
said, look, see the banks. And so people were starving because the banks wouldn't allow them to be farmed. So only the wealthy people had food, but two people were starving. So he used that to foment what became World War II. And so everybody in the European Union understands that. So to develop farmland, it is like impossible. And you go there, it's beautiful.
The road we've been walking. Yeah, we're in the property line bulges in the US 7 corridor for whatever reason. It's wider there.
And these are all panels.
That's correct.
Yep. Right, and where is the power line on this, or has it gone
Well, it's
completely
gone
off the map?
across over on the other
okay.
side of US 7.
That's why the substation is there.
That's right. Okay. Yep. So we're down in here.
Right. Okay. All right. So, did you want us to?
I thought we spent a lot of time in the fields, which is great, and to see the forests for a moment and appreciate what's here would be important.
Good. Okay. Well, thank you. Thanks for taking us off the beaten path, so to speak.
I think the plan is all the way that way to the, well, I won't speak for the plan, but substantial distance in
Right. Yes.
north and south direction.
Right. And that'll be shown in more detail on the stuff you guys have filed, so we'll have a sense of what it is.
Has a survey been done of the age of the trees that are in the areas to be cleared?
The natural resource report has all the information and it has a lot of appendices. I don't recall if there's an age class survey, but I would just refer you to that.
Yeah.
I don't have that off the top of my head.
You don't
I don't-
know if that I don't know is that one of the metrics in that A&R is looking for, whatever whoever's specifying from the state, but like
The metrics is the Section 248 criteria, which is no undue adverse impact on certain types of natural resources. And the report looks at all those resources. I can't say whether that metric is not listed anywhere in the PUC's regulations, but as I say, we don't have the natural resources expert here today, so I can't say what his report has.
But that's the kind of thing which filing a comment with us and indicating, that you think that should be done, and if you have a view as to why you think the age of the trees is pertinent. I mean, I think I know why, but I think I'm not supposed to think those things up. I'm supposed to look at the record. But that's the thing where then the commission can say, yeah, that looks like we need to know that, and then we can put an inquiry out to the applicant. I'm not going to speak to the applicant, but usually when the commission says we'd like to know, they don't usually write back and say, oh, we're not going to tell you.
I would agree with that.
And
one thing,
the last comment or question rather around that is, so just who's when it's responsible, you guys are paying for those studies to be done. Is there the opportunity for studies to be done in a third-party fashion?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a rule that the commission has that we can determine that we need an independent expert for something.
Okay.
And Andy
Well,
probably
yes.
doesn't like it, but we can then charge the applicant to pay for it.
Well, I guess the other part of it is that studies were done by an environmental consultant. They were submitted to A&R in advance. A&R came out here themselves. They looked at, and they're going to express their case. They're party in the case, and they're going to express their opinion. But we have gotten their input on the site plans as we develop them.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
And the Department of Public Service is also a state agency, and they play as active a role as they wish through their public advocate office. And so that's another place. If there's something you think should be in the record and you don't see it, and you don't have the resources to do it, or you feel, hey, I pay taxes to the state, I want the state to do it, you can make an application to them also and say, hey, we ought to know this or that.
Okay, thank you.
One last thing I'd like to point out while we're standing in this spot is the The levels of photosynthesis we see here, it's not just the canopy. It is down through the grapevines in the midsection, down to the moss on the forest floor.
Okay, thank you. All right, shall we move on?
You're welcome. I have one more question though. On the record,
Rather than a walk in the woods, you go for a walk.
along with the farm.
Yes. Oh,
Get
yes.
the metal, glass, and
It
plastic.
seemed obvious, but I just wanted
That's what nature really wants. They made a mistake with this for us. That was a mistake. Nature, we know how to move on nature. That's what we do. Mother Nature doesn't know what she's doing.
No. It's only been here for millions and millions of years before us.
But they got to figure it out. One report's going to figure out all the complexity. See, what you do is you limit what you review, and then all these other complexities. Subsurface biota, the frogs, and amphibians that are being bulldozed. The metal rolls, metal rolls getting crushed.
We don't need it anymore.
That's how you protect the planet by paving it down. This is the new era. It's unbelievable. And they got the younger generation. Bulldoze. That's gone.
It's gonna be dead. Gone. Dead. Nobody cares about it.
They'll plant more of that.
It's pretty cool seeing some of the elites coming back.
No one's saying consume less. No one's saying drive less. No one's saying use less electricity. They're saying we gotta build to the demand.
Right.
Build to the demand.
How about
What I would
maintenance? That's right, of course.
Yeah.
What's that?
No. You use the technology, the appropriate technology that's available today to give us what we need for our basic needs so that we can live.
Drive less.
Yeah.
You know,
This is what I was
you
gonna-
want to drive to town? Call your friends on your cell phones and say, I'm going to town. Call the old lady down the road who doesn't get to town much. Can you hop in my car? You know, make a shopping list and shop for all your neighbors, and then it's their turn. Right? And that's one car instead of 6 cars. And there you go. You've saved all that gallonage, you saved all the wear and tear, all the wear on tires. It goes on and on.
Like so many people on a bus, but imagine if so many people were in their own individual cars.
Yeah. The other thing that's interesting to think about, I was at my son's baseball game once this summer, and I did a survey of the vehicles in the lot.
Yeah.
Over 100 vehicles. Most of them
SUVs.
were SUVs and trucks, like
Yeah.
half.
Yeah.
There was a handful of hybrid or electric. And basically, taking some rough math, average of like 10 miles per trip,
Yeah.
which I think is being conservative.
Yeah.
But it's like each game, there's, I forget the numbers now, so I
1,000
don't want to say
gallons.
it, but it's just like there's a ton of energy consumed so that we can take our kids, and that's just the game, right? There's also
Just
all
choose
of the
the
practices.
Yep.
To take our kids, we're literally burning their futures, their future resources, so that they can play a game that doesn't actually achieve anything.
Right.
And
So all the people that build these energy projects, the large ones, they're like, oh, you know, we need to do this to displace frack gas and oil. If you look at where their investments are, frack gas, oil,
what I was gonna say.
nuclear. And
All
what they're
in that.
trying to do, it's all about money. And there's all these federal subsidies and state subsidies that are driving it. If the subsidies dried up, this wouldn't happen. This is all subsidized with
If
your
we had the ability to
tax
have
dollars.
$30 million to build structures that provide shelter and our food and water and our basic needs. I could see, have you ever heard of a Toulouse house?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah. Imagine each one of these fields having a large Toulouse house in the middle of it, where you could house potentially 1,000 plus people on this site and have their needs met through regenerative agriculture, storing of and sequestration of carbon, and like using a one-time investment of our Earth's resources into something that's going to last for 8 generations or better. That, like, if I had $30 million to work on that effort.
Well, the next shoe to drop is, so it's demand on the grid that
Yeah.
drives these projects.
Yeah.
So there's going to be legislation introduced, might be this coming January, to go beyond this clean heat standard to force people in the direction of EVs and to not consider the environmental impacts of EVs, the mining, the energy, the exploitation of rural populations, indigenous populations in Brazil and Chile, and literally the drug cartels are heavily invested in this stuff. It's a way to launder money through mining.
Oh, wow.
But nobody wants to talk about that. And all this information, the thing is, there's no basis for it. It's all on the internet. You could, and I'm not talking QAnon crazy shit. I'm talking legitimate stuff.
Legitimate data.
By researchers and
Yeah.
researchers who have been jailed in Congo and stuff. But they want to drive the demand legislatively, and then it will force, and then they'll say, well, we got everyone on EVs. Now we need to build more solar, otherwise it makes no sense to go on EVs and get all the energy from fossil fuels. So this is just the tip of the iceberg, man.
Yeah.
Look out. And the in-state developers in Vermont, they have an organization called REV, Renewable Energy Vermont.
Yeah.
They're also pressing, they've testified last session, to the need for legislation which will disincent our buying renewable energy from out of state. This is an organization that used to say there are no negatives to renewable energy. Now they're using our information, saying, well, you heard from Vermont's Clean Environment, they said there's an environmental impact. We now agree with them. So if there's going to be an impact, we should have it in our own backyard and we shouldn't be exporting our impacts. The real reason they're saying this is I don't even know what the impacts are going to be offshore wind. We're going to find out about that. But there's been all this permitted capacity offshore, and it's going to cause that to be uber competitive with these these are expensive projects per kilowatt hour and per megawatt, and they will not be able to compete. So at the end of the day, utilities only buy energy that they need. They can't buy extras.
Right.
Because it's regulated by the Public Utility Commission. It's to supply the demand and the anticipated demand, and that's it. So if someone comes in and says, I can get a contract with whatever, Long Island offshore, Block Island offshore wind, supply 60% of our renewable energy needs, 80%, 100%, that contract would be the death knell of all these developers. So they are freaked out about that contract. That's what Hydro-Quebec did, basically. It displaced 40% of the market. So they're trying to make Hydro-Quebec. These are guys who supported Hydro-Quebec 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Now they're opposing it because now they themselves are in the energy business.
Gotcha.
It's unbelievable. And the legislature, this legislature we have, does not question anything. Everything they say, they're all elected by these people. Their campaigns are funded, supported.
Yeah.
And we're all being lied to.
And the things we're trying to put forward is we could actually do full spectrum solar. One of the arguments I'd love to try and make here is that we can make a more efficient use of the solar energy.
Yeah.
If we were to build that Toulouse-style house, passively designed to absorb when it's sunny out, you cram it in, not relying on batteries, right? In the production of those. And then
we can, just to orient
stores in the building, you have it designed to close off like the stomata of the tree, closes in, holds the heat in. You can passively run ventilation and it's the resiliency, it's housing, it's long term, right? Generations where
That's actually old technology. Nobody wants to do it.
Right.
Well, it's expensive, and the subsidies aren't there. The subsidies are for this, and why are they for big energy? Big energy is lobbying Congress and our legislature.
Yeah.
You proposed that legislature.
We're going to come view this thing from the other side.
Please do come visit again. That's the end of it. They do nothing.
So this is not, we're not at one of the official stops. I thought you might want to just get oriented as to where we are. because that's the backside of the house that we started at, just to be
Oh,
clear.
okay, yeah.
Right, so this is all still site property, and Holy Smoke Road is on the other side of these trees. And so these markers, we were gonna look at from the road, so you can, because they're showing you the relative height of the berm and the panels. So you won't view them from this, the public wouldn't view them from this angle, because we're on site property.
Okay.
Just so I can ponder where I'm standing here, where are we?
Sure.
Oh, okay, and that's that house.
Well, no,
Right here.
so we're looking that way, we're looking toward number one.
Oh, I got it, I got it. Yeah.
So you can't actually see the Haynes house, which is
Right.
over there through the trees.
But we came this way
Correct.
originally.
That's
And
right.
this is where we are.
Yes, we came back from here, we went like this, and basically went like that. So we didn't follow this red line, we
Right.
sort of did that instead. To get ultimately.
So now we're going to come through this hedgerow here and into the next field and then down
The panels stop in this green, in the grassy area, or they go into
Yeah, so Stephanie can explain the different color flaggings that are here.
Here he is.
All right, folks, we're about halfway to number 5, but we're going to stop here just to, again, get oriented and discuss these markers, although these are largely intended to view from Holy Smoke Road, because this view here is a view within the site that no one would observe, no member of the public would observe. So,
I don't understand. So that house up there would observe it?
that
That's
house
on the property?
is on the site property, that's owned by the project proponent.
Oh, I see.
Yes,
Okay. So,
and that's the backside of the house that we started at.
okay.
Yes, sorry, that's why I was saying that. Okay, Stephanie.
Yep. So to my left, the flagging that you see that's orange along the tree line, that's our limits of work.
So all that existing vegetation will stay.
Okay.
To the right of that, you see stakes that have gold color flagging. Again, like in the beginning, that's representative of a landscape berm with trees planted above it.
And by gold, or yellow?
Yellow.
Yes.
Yeah, I was
okay.
looking for gold. Sorry.
So what is that, the berm supposed to do? Why do you, why? Is there houses right there?
Yeah, this is where we are.
Oh,
It
yeah.
provides additional screening from the
So
roadway.
is it gonna go all the way down the berm? Holy smoke.
It's showing you where the markers are. It's showing you where it's going to go. So
Well, this little piece, but in
no, there's no berm in this direction. It's in that direction, going, as you can see, and it goes down that part of Holy Smoke Road. And these
it's
markers.
like the very end of Holy Smoke, right?
It's before Holy Smoke makes its turn.
Correct.
That's the idea. And these are in the center of the berm, roughly, Steph? Is that-
Yeah, they're approximately in the center.
So where are you going to source the material for these berms? It's a lot of material. Is that going to be trucked in, or is that from on site?
Largely from the soils that are going to be taken out when the substation gets and the access roads will be, and it'll be supplemented if needed. I don't know if you've done the calculation on the volume.
We've done the calculation to make sure that the soils that get removed that are prime ag soils only for the construction of the access roads can fill these berms. If there's
So
additional
those would be your
soil,
stockpiles
yeah,
Correct.
of your
Right.
prime ag soils?
Yes.
correct.
Okay.
And if there are additional soils needed on top of that, then that will be brought on site as necessary.
So Stephanie, why don't you explain the post that's out there, just
Yeah.
so people can recall what that is?
Yep, so that post, if you look straight ahead, we've got orange flagging, and you can see that there's also some spray paint that is worn away there. That is 5 feet high. That is representative of the height of the berm at that specific location. It varies in height along the alignment between 4 and 6 feet. Above that, you'll see the blue, and the blue represents the evergreen tree at installed height, which is 10 feet.
And I'm sorry, I know, just real quick, how tall is the solar panel?
The solar panel is 14 feet at this location, and that's represented by the other structure straight ahead with the pink paint on it.
The one to your right.
To your right. Yeah.
So what's the very top orange? Is that the deciduous trees that are going on the berm?
Correct.
Like before?
Yeah.
And if people want to know how long the berm goes, if you look at the site plan, it is depicted on there as a, you know, sort of a kind of a tree line that bends around with Holy Smoke Road and goes. It has a couple breaks here and there, but it generally goes in that direction until you get to the GMP right of way, right, Steph? That's.
But does it follow the holy smoke and the where the solar panels are going and all of that down through there? The berm? Are you making
follows
a
the
berm
bend
so it will
along
hide
the
all that from, you know, people's property and
Correct.
all
That's
the
the
way
purpose
down?
of the berm.
Holy,
It
know
serves-
that. I'm asking about, is it going to go that far?
It doesn't go this far because the landscape architect determined that you didn't need a berm here to hide the project.
It does.
But I will, because
Yeah,
it's
it's-
gonna,
it's
I'm gonna look
gonna
right
be-
across
So
at it.
Andy, we're
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
And we're
Sure.
working in this direction.
Sorry.
This is all berm.
All right. So when we get to the point where the berm stops, Stephanie will show you.
Okay,
It
but
doesn't
I'm just
go-
concerned about where I live, it's straight across because I'm on some height, about there not being a berm so that it's, you know, I'm gonna be seeing the black hole.
The berm is only so high, so it only can screen the project from certain elevations, and other elevations that are higher, the berm is not high enough that you could.
Yeah, I'm not, right, and it's going that way too. The
We-
solar
again,
panels are all going
We
that
will,
way?
as we go along, we'll stop at the point where the berm is going to stop.
Okay.
So that anybody who lives near you and Trumbull Hill and up on there will have a great view.
Of the solar panel. Yeah, not the berm and the trees.
You
Yeah.
showed us a parking area.
So there's a staging area that's been designated for the construction project that's going in this kind of area back behind where that substation is. This was the laydown and staging area for the project that we've designated.
And that's an existing field.
That's vegetated.
And that's
And down
that's
here.
expected to handle all of the construction traffic at one time?
That is where the vehicles and the laydown area for equipment and
Because
things like
I
that.
saw the vehicles over at that other 20 megawatt site. It was a stunning number of vehicles.
It doesn't mean that we're saying that every employee is going to drive their vehicle and park there. This is the staging area that was determined was appropriate for the equipment and for heavy trucks if needed.
And materials.
Yep.
Coming in
There
off
was
US
lots
7,
and
that's
lots of
direct
boxes
access.
and materials.
Sure. It is.
Heavy trucks won't be needed for the project at all. You've got it.
I think is what
Oh, okay.
Between-
With that temporary or,
between 2 and 3
Gold Rush style.
south.
okay, thank you.
And so while we're standing here, when we're looking to the south, where we're standing is basically or very close to being within the solar panel array, right? So this whole hedgerow that we've walked past and everything that we look towards on the higher side there is cleared. Is that accurate to state?
No. So the transformer will be over there, right? And that there is a row of trees. in front of
So
the
this is approximately where that panel, that stake is there, right?
Okay, so we're standing right here next to this hedgerow.
Mm-hmm.
So this hedgerow all the way down and some portion of
But you can see
that.
here, this area here is not going to be cut, this white area.
Yeah, but
And I understand, but you see see that line there, that squiggle? That's the vegetation, that's the tree line right there.
behind the house. Right. So a decent portion, like there's some line in there. This way is going to be what would be cleared. Is that accurate to say?
Yep, there's a portion of it that will be cleared through
Yeah,
here.
again, we'll see all of that. The aerial photo, which if they don't have it, will be filed, shows us looking down with an actual photograph. Here's trees, and then here's panels And here's trees that are coming
Oh, while
out.
we're standing here though,
Yeah.
that line of trees, this line of trees, it's all down.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's kind of
Yes,
what this
yes, yes.
standing here is different than the aerial view. That's what we're trying to point out.
What's being
And the
preserved.
substation is within
Yes,
there.
and there's a
It's
piece
back
that's
that way.
of tree line over there that's being preserved. But yes, what you said is accurate.
Right, and what about these group of trees right here?
Yep, those are also being proposed to come down. We're having the berm that is constructed.
Could I ask the commission if we could walk up and look at those trees up close?
Just keep going that way.
It does, it follows the bend of Holy Smoke Road.
Okay.
Could we walk up to those trees so we could appreciate their size when you're close? Would that be possible? Just to walk over to that
through
tree?
here and- yes.
Are we walking towards point 5 now?
Yes.
This oak tree here.
Is supposed to represent the berm there? The berm is actually
Yes.
coming to there? Okay.
Yeah.
So that big oak tree back here,
It varies in height between, yes, 6
That
and
one?
4 feet.
All right, so
so Andy, that tree's getting cut, that big oak there?
Yes.
Okay.
This area is being cut instead. Is that correct?
Some of it is being cut in this area, yes. So,
So we're just, so that if you can see where the bend in the road is, we just, you can see the bend here. So there's this feature. We just did that. Those yellow stakes over there are the berm, correct?
yeah. That's about the center of the berm. So it'll wrap in around this corner here. And then again, we've got the same structure. This is representative of the berm in the orange, the blue for the evergreen, and the pink at the top for the deciduous.
So that berm is for aesthetic mitigation, and yet the trees are coming down on the other side.
Not all of the trees,
Uh-huh.
not all of them. So you can kind of see on this plan here, you know, this is the orange following where the berm is. Okay?
And where are the trees?
And that's right along this line.
That what?
This line in here.
But
So
what's
is that
right
tree there being cut, that big multi-pronged oak? Is that,
We don't have the detailed
Yeah.
site. I don't think we can make that judgment from the scale of this plan. We do have.
so it's not flagged as to whether it's in or out of the
It's not
cut area?
flagged right now, but we do have on the site plan, on the more detailed site plans, we did not flag every tree that's being cut. But we have on the more detailed site plan a scale that would allow you to see what area is being cut.
We're around here, right?
Correct. Yes. Yes. Here. So you just came through there, and you see this, how this makes a 90-degree turn?
Right.
That's that 90-degree turn there.
Okay. And that's where
So we're-
the road is.
Yep.
And then we're headed to 5?
We're headed to 5.
yes.
Could I ask you to take note? You might have to move this way a little.
You might
Through the trees of the White House in there.
That's my house right through the trees there.
trees.
We'll be able to see it in the next field better, but just want to make note that that's there.
Mine's right next to his. Yeah, we're nice and high. With the,
There's no berm that's going to cover that.
Good for
Not
no, stop it there.
A quick question regarding the berm going in here. So if there's no solar panels going in here, what is the purpose of the cutting down these very old trees for the berm, right? Like if it's not going to be producing power, why does that need to be cleared for a berm? Is that, I don't know if that can be answered specifically here or not, but.
I don't have the answer as to these particular trees.
I don't have that either. Yeah, we didn't flag each individual tree for which.
There are panels here, and so this is for screening from the road.
Yeah,
So
but the trees would
the
screen.
The trees that help screen this are going to get cut down to put 15-foot tall trees.
Not all those trees have been cut. We just had
But I
that.
was just said that it was, I'm sorry.
So
No,
once we
didn't
leave
flag
here, how
each
do we know what's
tree
getting
which
cut?
one is going to.
This is the
Well, it's also-
opportunity to know.
Those are deciduous.
No, it's
and
not
maybe
the
purpose of
opportunity
the
to
berm
know.
is
The
for a
file
year-round
is the place to know.
Yes.
You can't know from this. You have to look at the record.
But the record won't reflect these trees. They're not going to be identified individually.
No, you'll
We
have
won't
to
know.
If that's important, someone needs to make that point, and we will make sure that we find out about it. But you can't do it here because they just told you they don't know.
They
the
didn't
answer.
flag it, yep.
Is there a point about the fact that trees don't exist? Like this tree, if you cut everything around it and left this, that degrades the quality of life of that tree. Can we raise that kind of issue of the importance of a whole
Natural
forest
barrier?
instead of a fragmented thing?
Absolutely you can. Yes, you can raise that issue.
The sheer volume of lumber that seems like, well, is there a plan for the lumber that's coming out of here?
Okay, so
this
property and this property, we're sort of seeing through the trees there.
Yeah, so the yellow flagging there is the berm, right?
That is the berm, yes, as is this.
There is the yellow flag here of the berm.
Yes.
So if that lines up in a line with
There it
the
is.
other berm on the other side, I don't know if I
Yeah, I
can't
think
see,
you're
so
right.
I'm not sure, but
Where it curves around.
Yeah, this curve.
Looks like the road does.
No, they're-
okay, so
they're
the
coming
berm is going to wrap around.
They wouldn't put that. They're
I don't
coming
know
through
the
here.
exact, limits of grading for the berm, but it's coming around here just as the road is.
Okay, but yeah.
I believe the center line of the berm is where Stephanie has the structure.
Stakes, but
Okay. So it's highly likely that these trees are coming out. And but just those are, well, I don't know how tall, but 50, 60 foot tall trees are going to be replaced with 15 foot tall trees.
right, but if you left
Some
these
locations,
trees,
there
would be.
Okay.
I know what you're saying.
I don't understand the logic.
Well, we'll see.
Wow.
And you can see there's that orange flag and that big mark above it.
Keep it vague.
Yes.
Work to their favor.
Oh, okay.
That
orange flag. Yeah.
When it's not following around.
Shot that came, yeah,
Interesting, they have all these engineers and surveyors, but they somehow forgot to survey that line.
So, one thing I just wanted to highlight to you guys, while they're talking, but
Okay, I'm not. The point of stopping here is there's an incredible view from here. This is essentially the view I have from my house a little further to the west.
Make
to
sure
the
that-
east,
make sure
sorry.
that the commission can hear
Oh,
you.
sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
He's-
I'm here.
Yeah, make sure they can hear you.
Okay. So, my point is that from here, you have a view, again, out toward Jesse's.
My house is the green one up there.
Oh, that's your house, yes.
Yeah.
But if you move over here, you can see
Oh, right. That's
the
my
view
deck,
of the
please.
hill across the way with Jesse's Airbnb house. The gray house is my
Could you
house.
repeat that? I couldn't hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
From here, so you can see this field here. This is another field that's going to be covered with solar panels.
That's my deck.
And that's green roof house is somebody's house. This is Jim Poole's house. Dr. Jim Poole's house right here. And to the left, you'd have to move over here because of the tree branches here. You can see the hill, the exposed hill with another house.
If you come over here, you can really right there.
And that's just to here. If you think about how far up this goes, with all this being wiped out all the way up. Right. Straight view up, all the way up.
Right, all these trees are coming down.
And everything that way.
And everything in the back. So there's going to be a straight view from any of those locations up this massive just to be done to make sure it's clear. These trees are all what we see along here. These are coming down, right? So this field and that field will be one array. Correct. And so that these trees don't shade. Right. Go to the south north. Right.
This number 5. We're at this. Right.
All right, so we're going to walk around to get to the bottom.
It is. Yes.
And that's going to go upstairs.
That'll be clear, but we're going around rather than trying to walk through.
Yeah, there's a little farm house through here that's safer to go.
Yeah, I actually talked to
Berries.
not quite
They're
right.
not ready yet, John.
I was amazed by how the
Yeah, we have a lot of raspberries and blackberries. And the blackberries just took over. Yeah. Yeah, so all blackberries, yeah.
And the raspberries were fine, but what they showed you was the first. Oh, that's good. That's jam, jam. Yeah.
It's going to be right here? Why can't they just say enough is enough and stop there? Because they're so hungry for money, man. This is your tax dollars driving this in your legislature. And they already got it.
Well, if the
Oh no, this huge the IRA now. There's all this federal money on steroids. Bad as it was before. Look out, here it comes. Oh, that's the tip of the iceberg.
It's just greedy.
So greedy, so greedy. And you know, I was a real socialist until I saw this is what the other side of socialism is. You know? Because it depends how you define public benefit. Yeah. Well, they have a huge lobbying presence at our legislature.
Where do you guys want to stop?
This is good.
Oh, I think that's. I think this is probably a good spot.
Not touching solar panels. All that runoff rain. This is like a director from the top of the mountain downhill.
You know what developers do? If you're a housing developer, propose 150 houses, really only wanting to put 100. You know what you do is you give it up. And then they say, we reached a compromise. And that's what I think this is. This is a ploy. I think this is a ploy. They're gonna say, we must strike a deal with the neighbor's attorney.
It's in all.
We're going to stop
Changes
here.
the economics, yeah. Ooh, that house is gonna see it. Who's that? Who's that?
That's Jesse's house.
Oh! Jesse Screw. All Jesse's going to see is.
So this has got the
landscape change.
Varying in height between 4 to 6.
Where is he?
See off to the distance, that orange flag, that's the limit of work. So nothing will occur beyond that boundary.
Oh, right here. Okay, so that's the line of trees we just talked about.
Yeah.
That would be gone.
So in this instance, all of these right here along this edge will be remaining.
Right, but those are the ones that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep, that we just walked through. This is where the panels will be. These ones over on
starting where that post is.
Got it.
We're going to it.
So yes, there are some trees in this area that will be removed for a few panels that need access, and then stormwater treatment practice. That's the lowest point of the project, and so that's where the stormwater. One of the practices.
Could you repeat what you said about this corner?
Yep, so in this corner, we're approximately
Jesse.
It's not for me to give to you.
What's your name?
Not for me to give to you. Why don't you go away?
And then we have these trees.
No, this is the public.
Right.
Jesse, you still like it.
Stormwater treatment, and then as you kind of go further up
I don't know, you know this one, she's stalking me.
No, I'm not. I just want to know what your name is if you're recording. A little bit of panels and the access.
This is like something you see on TV where you get stalked.
No, I'm just curious. You're recording, so I want to record you, and I'm curious about your name.
I'm recording the hearing.
Okay. Good so. Yeah, that's treed, and there's buffers there, so we will not be approaching the wetland, and there's stream.
This is.
What is the elevation here?
Leave the tree line.
I don't have the exact elevation of
It's on the
this,
plans.
but on the plan, they're located.
It's on the plans that were submitted to the commission.
Question about the trees. Are all the evergreens 10 feet tall specifically that are going in, or are they?
That's an approximate height as they get planted, yeah.
Okay.
But there may be some species that he's planting at different, because the,
And the landscaping plan speaks to the range, the exact range of all of the heights of the trees that you.
part of it is that the landscaping plan shows a variety of species planted at different heights to give the landscaping berm not just the look of a fence line of trees, but rather to give it depth and texture.
So
talk to us about what that post is showing.
Yep, so the orange on the bottom, again, that's the berm elevation at that point. Down here, that one is to, I believe, 6 feet. Then the blue is, again, the evergreen tree, which is the 10 feet, and then the pink at the top would be the deciduous tree of about 15 feet. So in this case, we do have 15 feet.
Those this post and this post over there.
That is the solar panel, and in this field, those ones are 13 feet tall.
Okay, and which way is the panel facing?
The panels are facing south.
So the back side of the panel is what, if I was standing here, I'd be
Correct.
looking at.
Yes. Yep.
And now there's a retaining pond going in?
Yeah, can you, Steph, explain where the stormwater feature is and what it is?
Yeah, so the stormwater feature will be kind of oriented diagonally from here, and it is a gravel wetland. And so the way that is designed is all of the treatment gets held below ground, right? So what you see at elevation at grade is, you would see a grass or some plantings above grade. The treatment happens below grade in the stone voids. During a larger storm event, that outer area will fill up, so it would give the illusion of a pond, right? So
But just during the storm event.
Just during a storm event.
About to melt in the spring, because that's when the water is really the worst.
Yep, and so that would also fill up during storm runoff. But again, it's designed to drain out.
What's the nature of the soils? Subsurface here, are they clayey, are they silty, are they gravelly?
These are CD soils, so they're not they don't infiltrate.
So they have low transmissivity, low permeability.
I would say yes.
Okay, so runoff could possibly be increased on those
what's
soils.
The site application includes all of the stormwater information.
Right.
about complying with the state stormwater regulations for stormwater flows during the operation.
I was asking about the soil type.
Well, I know that, but the soil type is considered as part of the review that they
Good,
do.
that's what this is helpful.
And part of the design.
Stop.
Where does the water go if this fills up? Where does that water go? What's the
So that will drain towards the stream down this way.
Yeah, and that's a really important point. That the drainage, the outlet from that pond and the others on the side goes out that way, not towards Holy Smoke Road. It goes out to the west.
Which is Karen Creek.
Correct. After treatment and control, meeting all the state standards, then discharge.
So my well is right on that creek and just overflew. And, you know, there's a major recreational area down below.
Again, we just have to say that we are required to not just meet the PUC's standards, but there is a state stormwater program whose purpose it is to ensure that flows don't decrease the quality of water going off the property or quantity in a way that would be harmful. So there's a whole state permitting program that we have no option but to meet that.
But that's an issue that we can address. If there's information that we need to know that talks about how it might impact your well. And I had a related question. After construction is completed, will these fields be grass again, or will they be
The proposal
bare?
is not bare, but not just grass, pollinator mix. And there's a plan in the application to use a mix of perennial species and grass species that would provide better habitat for pollinators than simply having a field of
mowed
grass.
grass field.
Yeah.
So if the whole ball of wax gets sold, will those parameters go on to the next owner?
100%.
So looking at the topography here, it gets much steeper here. What directs the flow of water coming off of here over to that stormwater pond?
Well, again, we're in a grass field now, and we're going to have a field that's going to be planted with materials that are comparable in terms of their receptivity to water. So
But
whatever.
we're going to have a berm here. How does that play into the water flow? Is that going to in some way do something to direct the flow of water that way, or how is it going to?
So the berm would not allow water to go up in that direction. Correct, right? Because it's a berm, so it's going up. The waters will be channeled in the direction of the slope as it naturally conveys right now as you see it. We're not changing the slope of this field.
So in other
So
words,
what-
the water that is up there, that
So-
even if nothing were done here that
Now-
would come down this hill, will still
To a point
do
of the
same
berm.
thing.
To a point of the berm. So we have the berm here. Again, it will not flow up and over. So as the berm on this side of the berm, the water will continue to flow this way. The berm will not allow water from way up there to come over the hump, right?
Right, it'll go down.
So it will
towards
continue to go in this direction.
And the berm itself is planted and has permeability. That
Correct.
Where's the terminus of the berm on this end?
Right over here in the
That yellow flag?
That's the last flag, I guess.
Okay.
That's our last flag, yep.
I have a question about
Thank you.
the hedgerows. You kind of have a hummock quality in the grading, so what you end up with currently is you have stormwater flowing down the slope, and it hits these hedgerows where it slows down, perhaps infiltrates a little bit. Removing these hedgerows, what is the grading scheme to ensure that the water is not going to move faster as it goes from all the way up the top down?
There's not going to be any grading of the areas where the solar panels are in order to preserve the soils, many of which are prime ag soils. So it's the stormwater features that have to take whatever velocity of water.
Okay.
So Steph, I don't know.
Yeah, and I can speak to, if you want, the ditching that goes along the access roads.
Yes.
That will, yes, so the access road will have ditching on both sides that will help convey the water to the stormwater treatment practices as it picks water up. So anything that would not be taken up by plants that is vegetated throughout the fields, if there was additional runoff, it would go into those ditches.
Okay.
But just to clarify, between here and the drainage feature is going to be a section of trees where the primary water is flowing, and those trees and their root structures are going to be removed for another type of, like, just what's that surface that it's going to be then? What, when we take out the trees and all of their root structure, what is that water then flowing over to get to? Wouldn't it make sense to have that slowed down by tree structures?
Well, let's not get into what makes sense.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. The stormwater features are designed to handle the amount of flow. So
yeah.
I understand that you would like the trees to maintain where they are, but we've designed a stormwater system that can handle the flows.
And meet the rules.
And meet the rules. The trees are being taken out to make room for the solar project, and whether, I understand that may not be what you want, but given the existence of this size project, this is the amount of stormwater features that are needed to handle the flow of water.
But I want to be clear, there are A&R rules, and Andy explained it, and we are not bound to only do what the rules require. If we believe there's a record that warrants doing more, we have the power to order that to be done if we think the record supports that. So if you have a point of view that suggests that if the trees are out, and you can see on the record what this stormwater system is supposed to do, and A&R will have data on that as well, and you say, well, that's not going to be enough because I think it's going to flow at this rate instead of that rate. Got to put that evidence into our record, and then we can look at that and decide, does it need to have a different system or a bigger system, or not do it at all, do something else instead. All of that's available if you participate in our proceeding. But to repeat, this isn't where you participate in the proceeding. This is where you point out to us an issue that we ought to look at, and then we appreciate it.
Thank
Could
you.
I point out an issue I'd love for you to look at?
Yes.
Okay. The house across the way is my house. It is our agritourism.
Is that the White House that you're pointing to?
The White House with the deck facing this way, yes, and we'll go over there. But the farm that my family owns comes up to about 200 feet, 200 yards from the bottom of this property on the other side of Jim Poole's. So it stretches from 200 yards below this property line to halfway up that mountain, and the whole drainage basin is full of springs. There are springs halfway up that mountain, running all the way up through down here where it's this will drain into. There are no fewer than 6 or 7 year-round little creeks that run into the upper Walloomsac, which runs right through here up to Lori's house, which is with the green roof, which is
Behind that tree.
Behind the tree, which has been identified by Trout Unlimited as vital breeding grounds for the fly fishermen.
May I just ask or point out that the home that we're looking at, that white home, that's the home that's used as a rental, is that correct, an Airbnb?
That's correct.
It's not your residence.
It's not my residence, it's how I feed my family.
Okay. No, I just wanted to make
But
that
my
clear.
residence is right there.
Is the green
Right.
roof
Yeah.
house, yes.
Uh-huh.
So
Could you
will we
respond
go,
to his
so the
question?
question is whether we're going to walk to Mr. Poole's, Mr. and Mrs. Poole's house, or whether we stop here, go back. And
Yeah,
then-
we could walk to.
Is that?
Yeah. I have a question about the solar panels. I understand they're bifacial panels. And what does that mean in terms of their optical transmission? Are you going to be able to see through them, or do they block most of the light?
I don't believe Reed is. Oh, there you are. Go ahead. I'm pretty sure you can't see through them, but go ahead.
So what bifacial means is that the same thing you see on the front of the panel is what's on the back of the panel. So basically what it does is it allows reflection off the ground to be captured.
Okay,
which
so they're
is-
not
So
transmitting light
so
through them.
historically there was aluminum on the back of the panels.
Yeah.
And
don't-
so
yeah,
it
we don't
didn't.
care about that.
That's fine.
Well, some
I
people
understand.
might care, so if you'd allow me to
We
finish,
just want to
please.
know what it's.
Ma'am, just allow me to finish. So what it is you would have the same look, which is that darker look, and it is absorbing light. It is not reflecting light. The old aluminum panel would reflect light.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so back to Mr. Poole. So
Yep.
we're going
wanna
to walk
go down?
here,
Yeah,
yeah,
that'd be
and
great.
then from there, just so we, it feels like this is way too big a group to go on, to walk down the road, but I defer to the commission about that. Otherwise, we would walk back from Mr. Poole's, and Mr. and Mrs. Poole's property back through here to get back to the cars. So,
Well, we wanted
I
to show
think
you a few things on the road.
well, I'm just saying that
Yeah, the
if
road
you're,
is good.
I think we should use the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know.
We can just take up the
We
whole
want
road.
to see the.
okay,
we
but
want-
it's,
We're only talking about safety.
exactly, that's
So
all where, it's a
taking-
big group to have on a
taking
public road.
20, 30, 40 people on a road.
Driving down that road.
We're also, if
The road
there's a
is.
shortcut through my fields, I'd happily walk people through that.
Well, if we're gonna drive down the road, then I think it's wise not to walk down the road. It's a very narrow road.
Well, it is.
And we
It's.
can stop along the road if there are things that people want us to see while we're on the road.
There are, because there's a lot of flooding that goes on this road, and there's
Okay.
two spots where you can have accidents, the way that the road is,
Okay.
the way that it
But we won't
turns.
hear
and
that if we're all in different cars.
Right, and the road is an easy walk. I mean,
not
it's,
hard. I mean,
yeah, it's
steep,
better
though.
than
It's-
the,
Why don't we do, can I make a suggestion? We go onto the Prince property. We then go to the end of their driveway. We're at the road at that point. At that point, you can make the judgment.
Yeah,
whether
then
you-
we'll know what you're talking about.
Yes.
okay.
It's photo active.
Yeah.
Poisonous
I had
parsnip.
the
Don't touch it.
misfortune
It's over there.
So this is the poison parsnip that's leading down into the trail. Try not to touch it.
Definitely don't eat it.
No. Poison parsnip there.
Oh, you're very good. I can't stack my body the way
Beautiful veggie garden down there that's like humongous.
Yeah, I guess I go by often enough now.
Construction equipment would come in on the temporary Route 7 access, and then any other staff or workers during construction or during maintenance would use this East Road, short section of Holy Smoke Road to get to this entrance.
Can I ask one clarifying question around what is the definition of heavy truck? Like, would a 10-wheeler hauling gravel from Daly's, which is the shortest route is up through Holy Smoke, they would be going around down to route or the exit 2 onto the 7 temporary road and then in?
Well, part of what we are doing is developing a transportation management plan for the Agency of Transportation that will cover exactly what trucks will use that access, how they will get on and off, whether they can make left turns, etc. So that's something that the Agency of Transportation will be reviewing and signing off on. That plan is still being developed, so I can't speak to what exactly it will say.
All right, but most importantly, that'll be filed with us.
Yes.
And we will independently determine whether we think there's a traffic issue that needs to be addressed as part of deciding whether the project should proceed, and if so, under what conditions. So when that's done, it'll be filed in our record. I urge all of you, whether you want to be intervener or not, to use the EPUC link, which is available on our website, and just subscribe to the case. You will then get an email of everything that's filed in the case and an easy way to take a look at it. Maybe something you don't care about, maybe something that's really important to you.
I think a lot of us have.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess I was just, because you were saying no heavy trucks or no heavy equipment would use this road, what's your definition of heavy
And
equipment?
that's what you'll find out
Okay, that's in there too. Okay.
And this isn't apparent. Agency of Transportation has independent permitting authority. We cannot create that Route 7 access without their approval, plus the PUC's approval. So it's both.
Before we go up there, I have one more thing. Today is Margaret's birthday.
I know, that's what I was like, we gotta go.
And I would like us to sing happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Margaret. Happy birthday to you.
I'm gonna kill him.
No.
That would cause a delay.